POV, you're standing on the threshold of history. In ancient Sumer, where civilization begins, around 450 BCE, in the fertile lands between the Tigris and Euphrates, human life entered a new era. This place, Mesopotamia, became the cradle of civilization. Here, the Sumerians built the first cities: Uruk, Ur, Eridu. Imagine walking on sun-baked mud brick streets, hearing the clatter of clay pots and livestock. Sumerian society was centered around ziggurats, massive step temples reaching into the sky. These were not only religious centers but economic hubs. Priests controlled food storage, irrigation, and commerce. The people believed the gods lived above, and ziggurats brought them closer to human life. You climb steps of a massive ziggurat. Below, crowds gather for a festival, sacred music, dances, offerings of grain and livestock. This ritual reaffirmed the bond between people, rulers, and gods. But Sumer did more than religious spectacle. They invented writing cuneiform around 320 BCE. At first, it recorded grain shipments and labor hours. Soon, myths, laws, and epic tales like Gilgamesh were etched in clay. Now, knowledge endured beyond memory. See a scribe pressing reed stylus into soft clay, forming wedge-shaped characters. He records a transaction or a story to be remembered for centuries. Political power was fluid. City-states competed: Uruk vs Lagash vs Kish. Kings emerged in Miberegicide of Kish around 2600 BCE is among the earliest known. Some rulers claimed divine right, others were priests turned leaders. But Sumer was not peaceful. The cradle of civilization was also a battleground. City-states like Lagash, Uruk, and Ur constantly fought over land and water rights. The rivers that gave life, Tigris and Euphrates, also brought division. Control of canals meant survival. POV, you stand on a dusty battlefield. Warriors with bronze-tipped spears and leather shields charge under a blazing sun. Behind them, war carts rattle two solid wooden wheels pulled by donkeys. One of the earliest recorded wars was the Lagash-Umma conflict around 2450 BCE. They fought for generations over a disputed fertile plain called Quidina. King Eonatum of Lagash carved his victory on the stele of the vultures, a stone monument showing lines of crushed enemies. Vultures picking flesh. This wasn't just a warning, it was propaganda and history. Examine the steely rows of disciplined Lagash soldiers marching formation, shields raised. One panel shows Eonatum leading them, God-blessed and unstoppable. These were spurred innovation: military formations, new weapons, and fortified city walls. Cities became walled fortresses. Armies grew from militia to professional forces. By 2300 BCE, the repeated wars weakened Sumer's independence. Enter Sargon of Akkad. He rose from a humble cupbearer to forge the Akkadian Empire, conquering all of Sumer. Sumerians didn't vanish, but their rulers were replaced. Even after Akkad, invaders from the East Elamites attacked. By 2004 BCE, the city of Ur fell. The last great Sumerian king, Ibibiricin, was taken in chains, but Sumer's spirit endured in the civilizations that followed. Competition bred innovation. They developed the wheel around 350 BCE, first for pottery, later for chariots. They harnessed irrigation canals, reservoirs transforming deserts into farmland. Wheat, barley, date palms all fed growing populations. Trade networks spread from the Persian Gulf to Anatolia and the Indus Valley. Sumerian merchants sailed to Oman for copper and to Lebanon for wood. This early trade linked cultures and spread technologies. Yet life was harsh. Floods, droughts, and conflict were constant. To manage, they codified laws. The Code of Ur-Nammu to 10 BCE is one of the earliest legal systems granting rights and punishing theft or violence. Justice was no longer private, it was public and written. You glimpse a tablet carved with symbols declaring if a man commits murder, he shall be put to death. By around 2334 BCE, Sargon of Akkad conquered Sumer, uniting Sumerian city-states into the world's first empire. But Sumer's legacy lived on. Their language, Sumerian, influenced Babylonian culture, astronomy, mathematics. They created the first known calendars, lunar months, 360-day year, and developed geometry to measure land. They studied the stars, marking constellations like Gemini and Leo. You stand under a starry night, Sumerian priest, mapping constellations with wooden rods. Their epics echo through time. The Epic of Gilgamesh explored friendship, loss, and the search for immortality. Its flood story influenced later traditions, like Noah's tale in the Bible. Although Sumerian political power faded by 2000 BCE, its essence shaped Mesopotamia. Cities, writing, law, trade, agriculture, astronomy, these core pillars of civilization. They taught humanity. We build, we write, we measure time, and we dream. POV. You're walking away from crumbling ziggurats surrounded by silent mud brick ruins. Their imprint persists etched into every corner of human history. Thank you for experiencing the rise of Sumer with us. Comment which invention surprised you the most: writing, law, astronomy. Subscribe to Pop Shorsit for next, Ancient Egypt, the next episode in our Empire series.